Who's on tonight or this afternoon? We've got Cameron. Thanks for watching, Cameron. James, the astrophotographer. Andrew Corkill.
Hello, everyone. I'm Scott Roberts with the Astronomy Outreach Network, and I'm with Dr. Linda Spilker, who is the mission project scientist, right? Is that
right?
Correct? Okay. For the Cassini mission to Saturn. And Linda, you got started on this mission how long ago?
I actually got started on Cassini in 1988. I was part of a team to define what science would you do if you go back to Saturn. And before that, I worked on Voyager and had been there for the Voyager flybys, and so it was a perfect follow-on to look forward to the next mission that became Cassini.
So you've always been involved in planetary science. Has it always been at JPL?
My whole career, since I graduated from college, has been at JPL. It's been 40 years.
So how did the mission evolve? I mean, what was the crucible that created Cassini?
Well, it was really the Voyager 1 flyby through the Saturn system that led to Cassini. We had to fly by this giant moon Titan. One of the key goals was to look through Titan's thick atmosphere to the surface. But all of the instruments we had on Voyager could not see through the haze. We didn't have the right filters on the cameras. So immediately, a group of scientists got together and said, let's go back to Saturn. We need to understand Titan. Titan has chemistry very much like maybe the early Earth had. And so right there in the early 80s, we started thinking about a mission to go back, carrying a probe to parachute through the atmosphere, reveal the surface of Titan, and land on the surface.
Wow. This whole mission's been called like the most ambitious, planetary mission ever.
I would agree. I think it absolutely.
I'll get to this as we go along, and you can tell I'm very excited and very a little nervous too, to have you here. When you look back on the original thoughts about the mission, did everything evolve the way you hoped?
Well, Cassini is really a mission of discovery, and those discoveries really shaped and sculpted what we did. A key example is finding geysers coming out of the South Pole of Enceladus, out of these 4 cracks that we called tiger stripes. And we went from, in the 4-year prime mission, having just 3 flybys of Enceladus to adding 20 more over the next 9 years. So we let discoveries in many ways guide what we do and how we do it.
And you guys got over 600 gigabytes of data. We talked about this a little bit earlier, and you said it was like, the information's come through like a fire hose. I would think that you would only get the top level of the discoveries and the data and stuff. So what was that like trying to interpret all this stuff?
Well, like you said, Scott, imagine drinking out of a fire hose and how just a little bit of water you would get in trying to take that drink. And so in a sense, we were like skimming off the obvious top discoveries and then just storing up and archiving the rest of the data. And so it's kind of like we've put together some of the obvious pieces of the puzzle, but the more subtle pieces to complete that picture of the Saturn system have yet to be done. So scientists are working, in fact, it will probably be decades before we completely go through all of the data and understand it. And such a tremendously successful mission, even from the data we've seen so far.
Well, hello, everybody. Scott Roberts and Jerry Hubbell here, and we are on the 137th episode of the OpenGOTO Community, which is great.
137, and I think 37 is also the start party night, right? So it corresponds.
That's right. So there's something magic. You need to go out and play those numbers, 3 and the 7 and 37 and 73 and what they add up to and all the rest of that.
Yeah, numerology. Numerology is fun.
Right. and look at the tea leaves and then place your bets in the Mega Millions or whatever. So, but we've got a great lineup. I finally talked Jerry into co-hosting with the MSRO. The Global Star Party. He's been on enough of them, but
yeah, it's taken a couple of pushes, like trying to rock over a big boulder or something. Yeah, it's like
that's right. Nah, it was easy. But I mean, it was easy once you went through it, right? I mean, you haven't actually done it yet. But
oh no, it's not a problem. It's not that. It's just getting people lined up and getting our team here at the MSRO Science to join in, and I want to be able to get a lot of people involved if I can.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. So you and I were talking about the PMC-Eight new firmware release that you guys have been working on since last year.
Yeah,
right?
we've been working on it for quite a few months now, and we're at the point where we're at the end of the internal beta program, the test program, and we're ready to release it. I think today I'm gonna put out on the subgroup. I created a subgroup on the forum last week to invite all of our OpenGOTO members that want to volunteer to do the public beta. It's a public beta test program, and I had to get a tool created that I can show here in a few minutes for people to easily set up the firmware instead of using a terminal program like we did early in the beta test program. But I've got this nice program now to do it through a client application.
Before you go to that, let's talk about since we touched on Global Star Party first. Who's going to be on, and what's the schedule going to look like?
Yeah, so for the MSRO Science team, we've got several people coming on. First of all, we've got president of MSRO Science, and he's a director of the Mark Slade Remote Observatory, Dr. Myron Wasuda. He'll be on there first at the beginning. He'll be talking about for a few minutes about how the Mark Slade Remote Observatory got founded, and talk a little bit about Mark Slade. And he'll be bringing on, he's got 2 or 3 students he's been working with over the last few months recently. He'll be bringing on, his name's Alex. I can't pronounce his whole name. We'll see later how it's pronounced. But Alex is going to come on with him first. He's in Greece.
He's from Greece. Okay.
Yeah, so we've been working with students all over the world with the Mark Slade Remote Observatory. It's pretty cool. And Myron and his students have been doing great science. And then there's another fellow, his name's Max, that he'll be talking to later on to show some of the stuff he's been working on. And then also we have Glenn Fahey, who's the president of the Rappahannock Astronomy Club, who's our local club here in Fredericksburg area and the Central Virginia area. And he's also on the board of directors for the MSRO Science. So he'll be spend 5 minutes or so talking about the Rappahannock Astronomy Club and what we're involved with there, and how how the club is linked to the Mark Slade Remote Observatory. And so and then I'm going to be talking with Lauren Lennon, who's one of our staff astronomers. She's actually, I don't want to say a real astronomer, but she's been professionally trained in astronomy. Let me put it that way. We're all real astronomers. It's just whether we get paid, for it or not, or whether we love it as much as we do. I don't know. I assume that most professional astronomers love astronomy like amateurs do, so it's no different there. But whether it's our full-time job or not is a big difference. So, but Lauren's been trained as a professional astronomer, so we'll be talking to her about what her role is at the Mark Slade Remote Observatory. So also we have other people coming on, right, Scott?
Yeah. We have some of our regulars will be on the program. We've got our regulars from the Southern Hemisphere. So we've got Rodrigo Zaleda will be on. He's going to be imaging. He's got clear skies tonight, which is great.
Good.
We have Cesar you know,
Rolo.
and his son Augustine, which he'll be on. So we're going to have all three of them on kind of in succession, or you know, the Southern Hemisphere Consortium down there, which is
Right, right.
and then we've got, you know, I expect that the Astro Beard will be on, which is good, and we have
Pekka.
Pekka's watching the show right now. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And we have Daniel Barth, who has started.
Oh, right.
Yeah, he started up his new program yesterday. So that he likes being on these programs. So.
And then at the beginning of our show, as always, we have Dr. David Levy, which is great,
true,
and also Dave Eicher of Astronomy Magazine.
That's right.
And Libby's going to be here too.
And Libby will be on as well. So, you know, all the people that you know and love, and plus new people that you're going to become more familiar with and get to see what they're all about. But the Mark Slade Remote Observatory has really matured as an organization and has really helped out a lot of people that want to explore the skies, you know, especially with you know, learning science along the way. So I think what you guys have done is really great. It's now what, 4 or 5 years old?
It's 5 years. We started Myron and I started building it in November, actually planning it in November. We started building it in December of 2015.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little over 5 years old now. We put it in service about almost exactly 5 years ago. It took in February of 16.
Has it always had to explore scientific?
No, we started out with some equipment that I'll let Myron tell you later about Mark Slade, but we got some equipment to start it, which one of them was an LX200, 12-inch LX200 mount on a wedge. And so that's what was the first telescope that was installed in the dome. Yeah. And then unfortunately that mount system failed on us. So then I had the G11 that I had been using to test, and we installed it with the telescope drive master and the PMC-8 system in there. Mm-hmm. And we actually mounted the 12-inch Meade on there, the Schmidt Cassegrain first.
Oh, okay.
We had that on there for a while, not maybe 6 months, I think, or maybe a little longer. And then we installed the 152
on a G11.
On a G11, and then we upgraded it to the 165.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nice. And we've changed cameras out too. We started out with some older cameras that I had originally. Uh-huh. And then I bought an ST. What was it? An ST2000 XM camera. Mm-hmm. That was originally a $4,500 camera with a filter wheel, and I paid $1,000 for it used, and it's 10 years old. Yeah. But it finally gave up the ghost. We used it a lot in 2016 and 2017. Actually, 2017, I guess, was the most of it. I think 2017 was the best year we had. We did almost 200 nights, over 200 nights of observing.
Jeez.
And that's with, we would observe even if we had partly clouds, you know.
Oh, sure.
So every clear night that we could see stars, we tried to observe. And that was a great time during that period for the time for what we saw in the sky. But it hadn't been quite that good over the last few years, 3 years or so.
What's been the worst year so far?
Last year was pretty bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to go back and look in my files and see how many days we observed. I haven't kept up with the statistics, but I need to go back and look at that. Even then, we still have our database of images. Raw files, we've probably got well over 150,000 images, almost 200,000 images probably, plus countless videos that we did for AVIs for doing planetary work.
Oh yeah, cool.
I'm not sure how many. We've got over 2 terabytes of data stored so far.
So who uses all this data?
Well, that's the thing. It's we use it when we take it, right? We do some initial analysis and then we store it off. We haven't gone back, and that's something that I really want to do. There's a ton of, you know, we could do a ton of variable star work with all the data we have. We could go back, and I was hoping to start a student program to go through and start going through the data. But we've also built a program that we haven't quite finished it yet, to go through and catalog all the files and store all the metadata in a database, so we can look up the location of the image, what the subject was. You know, we can store in the metadata because we got the header. All these data images are plate solved, right? So we have all the specific data about time and date, where it was pointing at, you know, exposure time, all this data. We could create a huge database on and be able to look for it and find variable stars with it.
Sounds like a project for you know, some interns from the university.
Yeah, it's a lot of data to go through. It'd be a great project. I wish I had more time to get into it.
Mm-hmm. Well, don't throw it away.
No, we're storing it. We're keeping it.
Well, that's cool. Okay, so let's talk about the new firmware and remind everyone what the, you know, features and benefits are of this this new system.
Yeah, so
New
there's some primary benefits that 2 or 3 that are really the major things that started us down this path. One was the problem we had. It wasn't a problem. It was just the customers. It wasn't as easy for the customers to use because we had to manually switch between Wi-Fi and serial to connect up. If you're going to connect up Explore Stars, it had to be on the Wi-Fi channel to communicate. And then we couldn't run it at the same time on the serial port. So you had to use a tool to switch it over. We have a configuration manager tool to do that. So you just have to get trained on how to use that tool to switch it back and forth between a serial port, which typically when you're doing astrophotography, you want to use ASCOM over the serial port because it's more reliable. And then if you want to use Explore Stars with your mount, when you take it out to do outreach or whatever, and you just want to use a tablet to control the mount, you have to switch it back over to Wi-Fi. So that was the first feature that we wanted to tackle, and what we've done, and basically they're both up and running at the same time now. So there's no need to switch. You just connect you either connect the tablet up, or you can connect up the serial port onto your host computer through the cable, and it'll just work. So that's one major thing. The next thing for us and for customer, actually it's easier for customer now, is we have a universal firmware where you only have one firmware to download and install on any PMC-8 mount that's out there now and into the future. Any new mounts that we develop will just use the same universal firmware. And that's a big thing too for us in terms of code base and management. Before, we had to manage the different versions of firmware because we had different drive systems. We had different firmware for motor current values. Okay, so the older firmware, you had to select which mount you had, and then you had to install that firmware for that mount. And it was due mainly to the motor system is different between the G11 and the Exos 2 and the iXos 100. And then we had a couple other hardware features that are different between the mounts that drove us to have different versions of the firmware. But that's all gone now. It's only just one version of the firmware. So that simplifies life for everybody. So those are 2 major upgrades. I just mentioned one of them also, which is you can set a motor current now. You're allowed, the customer can now set his motor current within a range that's defined we define it to protect the mount, but you can set it to save battery. So if you want to set your motor current lower to save battery, you can do that. Or if you want to set it higher to provide a little more oomph for the torque, you can do that and then use it. So that's another major upgrade. There are a few other little tweaks. If you're interested in doing the beta test, then please get on the forum and join the. You should have gotten an email about it, and join the beta test subgroup.
Right. There's already a question. Where can they download the new firmware?
That's what so you need to join the, it's just beta test right now. It's a public beta. You have to join the beta test subgroup.
Right.
So go to that subgroup and join. You should have gotten an email for it. And join up, and then I'll approve your application to join the beta test. And I'm planning on, actually today I was planning on releasing it to the group, and I've been working on one little tweak this afternoon. And so in between this show and the Star Party, I hope to get it out there on the forum, on that subgroup. So I'll make an announcement. Everybody will get the email that's a member of the group. We have 21 members right now of the public beta test team, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, better than other other things I was with, other companies that I was with, where really only 3 or 4 guys were testing everything, you know. So
Right. We've done our internal test team has done really well in ferreting out these little subtle issues. I think when with this public beta testing, I think people will find it pretty good. But I'm hoping they'll ferret out a couple other things, but not. Hopefully it's going to work pretty much good for everybody except for a couple little things, you know. I don't want to see some major design flaw. That's what I'm getting at, you know. I don't want to see something that just destroys the thing, you know. Why is it not working for? Because right now the assumption is
I'll make them mad, okay?
right. The assumption is right now if we find a major bug or major something for somebody that's not working, it's really something to do with their host computer somehow. It's not really with the, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
Just blame it on them yet.
No, not yet, but that's my goal, right? That's what I hope.
I know. I've been working hard on it for a long time.
We've been, right. And the beta test has been going on for 3 weeks now. So we've squashed quite a few things.
Pekka wants to know if he joins the beta test group, do you just automatically send him the hardware to test it on? Or no?
No, unfortunately not.
You have to have your own hardware. Sorry about that, Pekka. So,
that's right.
Oh, well, great. So, you know, our global Star Party will start later than it has been. We were starting at 6:30 p.m. as the early login, and
that's Central Time, right?
Central, yeah. Because we had a time change, we're now, we're the people that are presenting will log in about 7:30. You'll see the countdown start for about 10 or 15 minutes before the hour, which would, we'll be broadcasting at 8 p.m. Central, which is still, I think it's still 0100 Universal Time. So depending on where you are watching in the world, you might use the Universal Time, standard to judge your time from. But so I expected us to be up late and probably running past 11 o'clock, something like that. So get your coffee.
We got quite a full.
It's a full,
it's people,
it's a big Star Party. Lots of presenters, people from literally from all over the world, and so we'd love to have you there. We also have put into the link, announcing it where you can join in on the after party. So, but the after party will start pretty late. It'll start we'll have people logging in about 11-ish, 11:10, something like that. And depending on how fast people get through their talk, sometimes they go a little quicker, sometimes they elaborate more, sometimes we have more questions, so.
So the main program is about 3 hours, which isn't too bad, really.
No. Yeah, and we of course take breaks, so, but Mike Wiesner says, Scott, would you mention the mega constellations talk I commented on here before the show started? Yeah, well, let's go see what you said. Somehow I missed it, Mike. Oh, okay. Hi, everyone. This Friday. Okay, Friday from 02:15 to 03:15 Universal Time. Dr. John Barentine from the International Dark Sky Association and I will be discussing the impacts of satellite mega constellations at the virtual Leprechaun Is that right, Mike? Virtual Leprechaun Convention. Registration is free, sign up early. So I'm gonna repost that, Mike. Here we go. Ta-da. So there you go. That's great. I know you guys will do a great job. So anyhow, any other comments?
No, I think this has been good. I know Myron is looking forward to talking about what he's been working on with his students. He's excited about that. So it'll be the first time he's on the show, I think. So we've been trying to get him on for a while, but he works late. But now that the start parties start later, I'm sure he might become a regular if we want him to.
Yeah. Great. I think it'd be fine. Well, good. Pekka's saying so reserve about 6 to 7 hours for whole event as the last parties. It's a really
6 hours, really?
Yeah, I think we went like 6 hours and change, something
That's
like
a
that.
long time, yeah.
That's a long time. Pekka's got like, he's like the marathon man. He can just keep going. So
yeah, I had a great session with him last week or week and a half ago on the MSRO.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. That's great. So, well, good. Yeah, hopefully Pekka comes back to MSRO and does some more work. I think you're going to see a lot more people being interested in what MSRO can do for them and how they can participate in science. So we want to get out there and inspire them.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. All right. So we're going to cut this show off. This is a little bit shorter program because we got a big, long one tonight. And until then, until 8 p.m. Central, keep looking up. And if you get clear skies and want to join our after party, I will be putting in the link into the program. So when you see it come up, just look at the descriptive text and the link will be there. Take care and see you soon.
Thanks.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Steve from Pulsar Observatories in the UK. Just took time out of production just to say how excited we are to be dealing with Explore Scientific as our new American distributor and partner. We've been making observatories for over 20 years. We have over 1,000 to our name and still growing. Products still evolve, but we still think that we have an unbeatable astronomical product. These domes really do take your hobby to the next level. They're fully automatable, fully ASCOM compliant, so it works with third-party software. They keep you out of the wind chill, they reduce the dew, the ambient light. They really do enable you to take your hobby to the next level. So we're really excited for the future. We know Explore Scientific will do a great job of our amazing observatory domes, and we look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks very much.
We're going to talk about the problem of drive errors in telescopes. All telescope drives have some sort of tiny drive errors. In a telescope mount like the G11, it has plus or minus 5 arc seconds of periodic error, okay, which means every turn of the worm, it can move a star 5 arc seconds one way and 5 arc seconds the other way. The way to correct that might have been through an auto guider camera, okay, but a better way to correct it is actually watching the drive errors from the polar shaft, and that's what we're doing here. We have something that is a high resolution encoder here. And then we make that high resolution encoder send signals down to something called the telescope drive master. The telescope drive master is an ingenious little device. It gives instantaneous drive corrections so that we can take this plus or minus 5 arc second drive and make it practically zero, okay? So virtually no drive error, which allows you to not have to have a guide scope, okay? And to make perfectly round stars in your images. Telescope Drive Master sends instantaneous signals down to the PMC-8 control box in the same plug that we would plug in the auto guider port. And at that point, it's a very simple system. Virtually, there's no setup. You just turn it on and it works. For more information, you can go to explorescientific.com and look under the mount section for the Telescope Drive Master. If you need more, if you have questions, give us a call at 866-252-3811 or chat with us live.